but there was just a lot of talk about it, but there wasn't any actual first-hand experience. People somehow think first-hand experience is basically like hearsay. You know, like they hear something and then they think it's first-hand experience. It's just second or third or fourth. It's you know, how is it first-hand experience if you're hearing it, if you haven't lived it? So first-hand experience is pretty much something that you're living. Yeah.
Right.
So if you're not living it, then you're just preaching it. That's pretty much the bottom line.
That's right.
So, you know, you're going to ask yourself, you know, if you're looking for a preacher, there's plenty of preachers, plenty of gurus around. You can hop on all those calls. You know, we can't do any of these calls without people actually bringing in the stuff from the state. And the reason why the state is so significant in why we consider these things is because it's the state that actually brings the claim and actually reveals itself in many ways. If you do not study what the state is sending you, it's pretty much impossible to actually. It's like going back into the matrix, rather than getting out of the system, you're going into the system. It's like going into the mind, into the eye of the storm, of a hurricane or a tornado, and you're going straight into it without you know, going into any fear. So it's like dealing with the primal forces of nature by going straight into the system, and that's
study them, right, brother?
What's that?
My favorite, or one of my favorite things that you say is, what am I doing that they're not doing? They're studying us and they're bringing the claim. So would it make sense to study them so you know how to deal with the claim? Is that kind of what you're?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're, what are they doing that you're not doing? That's exactly. Yeah, that's what you want to sort of do, because if you start to see everything as a natural resource, you'll find that it's like a company or a big mining. You're extracting the resource. The resource is the knowledge, the information, and that's what the system does. Is it goes mining for the people. It's like a big mining magnet, and it's basically, you know, it goes and yeah, it's like roaming the whole planet, you know, panning for gold, panning for the claims that people make, and basically, yeah, it's just constantly sorting the wheat from the chaff.
It seems like there's a gold rush, brother, and it seems like they believe there's gold everywhere. They sifting like crazy.
Oh yeah, and there is, because what comes out of people's mouths, it's there to mine, and it's. And I'm going to give you some examples on how what you say out of the mouth is merchandise. Once you speak out of that mouth, it's you put yourself up on the world arena. You put yourself up on the stock exchange or whatever you want to call it. You put yourself up on national media, you know, TV, whatever you want to call it. That's where it all goes. So anyway, for the purpose of this call, I guess you know, if we agree to be using this platform and to record it, if you're okay with that.
I am, brother. I was assuming, probably bad thing to do, but I was assuming that you are okay with it as well.
Yeah, no, just always good to check in that, you know, two or more people agree to use these devices. It might help in you know, in exercising and using and living the message, if there was a message out there.
Right on.
So yeah,
Hey,
Anyway,
I did have one question, brother, before we get dive into something. Would that be all right?
yeah, man, go for it.
Okay, so I brought this up one time before, okay, but I really am interested in those times where the license you used was suspended, or maybe one of the other brothers that lives the life had no license to give, so that when there's a name exchanged or an ID is found, I just am curious, is it working the exact same way? And it sounds like it was, but I'm just curious, say there's 3 warrants on the name and there's no ID to give, it's been suspended. So then I use, or sorry, not I use, but however you deliver the name to them, is this what you're looking for? Would it help if I told you or whatever? Is there still an issue when the name is exchanged? Because a lot of times now you open the wallet and you say, would this help? But I'm just curious, if there's nothing that would help, how is that interaction going? And has anybody done that kind of, with a suspended license or whatever?
All right. If I'm hearing you correctly, I'll give you a bit of maybe a first-hand experience. So what happens down here, and it just so happens what you're talking about is actually, I guess, there's a transmission or a piece of paper that they send to me, and they have like a point system, and they which is the Legion, the company, Vic Roads, they say you've accumulated 12 or more demerit points, and therefore you have reached or exceeded the demerit point limit. A list of the relevant offences is attached. So they basically, they then tell you that the permit or the licence will be suspended for 3 months unless you choose to extend the demerit point period, blah, blah. And it says if you don't do anything, it gets suspended for 3 months from a particular date, saying January to April, right? So these dates are prescribed. So if once you start, examining what this is about, right? You go, okay, so prescribed, okay. So if one was to investigate the language that they use, well, we break it down. Prescribed. Okay, so I go into, okay, what is it to be prescribed? So it's dictated. Prescribed is something that these dates are prescribed by legislation and cannot be changed. Okay, so what this is basically implying, anything, whatever you're reading here, anything that's prescribed is dictated. It's like it's speaking to you. So this document is actually talking to you, and you become subject to this wooden idol. How? By either agreeing in saying this applies to you or it doesn't apply to you. It's still agreement.
Interpretation.
Yeah, so as soon as you interpret, notice, it now notices you. It may sound very strange, a piece of paper noticing you. This is kind of the accord, which is another word for agreement, and something that's prescribed is something that's told to you, something that's dictated, something that's indicated as a rule or course or action to be followed. So when now this particular document now goes, it's linked in with the road corporation and also the enforcement officers, which are the so-called police officers. Yeah. So what they do is they've got these particular enforcement cars that the coppers drive down here. They've got more technology than James Bond, right? Yeah. They pretty much can fly in any galaxy, any place, any time, and be there in a split second, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, everywhere. So it's kind of it's very trippy, but this is the weird thing about it. Now, so in relation to this, so if anything, I guess it's always been It's always meditating on being that you'll get picked up. Okay. When I say you get picked up down here, there'll always be, if there's like a little on their technology machines, on their devices, which if there's like a little, whatever, something in the Vic roads or something in whatever, and it comes up on the system, they'll pull you over. So that's where you go into, look, there's many ways of going into it, but every single time that I go into some kind of interaction with the state or the I call the police, legion, state, whatever you want to call it, I'm constantly updating. I'm updating myself from the experience I've had with them. And even recently, even updating. So basically, if there is something there that they need, I hand it over with a question. If I don't have it, which sometimes I don't necessarily carry it with me. So if I am pulled over or for whatever reason, I just go straight into the question mode, and the biggest question mode, the question that I find that is very, very powerful is do I know you? And they will talk about many things. For example, they'll say, oh, well, you're going to get to know me. Oh, will I? So there's as many examples of how a copper down here is going to establish joinder. It's very hard to establish joinder when you're not acknowledging the man in the uniform. And if you don't acknowledge him and there's no fear in you, as soon as you have fear, that's possession. Fear is possession down here. And this country is run on fear.
Right.
And that's basically it. This is a fear. Anyone who says, "Oh, you're promoting fear," or you're pushing fear, well, that's the game. That's basically what's happening. This is Wizard of Oz with the big man in the tower blowing the big trumpet and basically getting people to believe. And if you don't stick to that doctrine, there's a fear that something out of the sky is going to jump on you and you're going to be, beaten up and God knows what else. So there is that fear element. That's how they enforce these laws, by getting you to believe. Once you believe, well, that's fear.
How do you know that it's joinder that they are after, brother? Like, have you seen that written in their initial setup, or are you just going off the Bible?
No, well, how do you know there's joinder? By listening to what they say. And, like, for example, half of these videos that people send you about, the right to travel, straight away, that's, the hardcore claimants, right? Right. Either you want to be guided by man and the success stories of man and how they've swindled their way out of this and out of that. That's great. That's for people who think that they've got out of it and so forth. But if you're looking for a journey where it's a way of life, and you're looking, to live a way, if it was possible in this part of the world, to be in the world but not of the world, which is ownership or possession, then would you be interested in it? To me, that was the bottom line. So in relation to the coppers there, when you're asking the questions, joinder is when you answer. So as soon as there's an answer, and if you don't know what an answer is, right, you just got to, if you're wondering what an answer, let me have a look here. For example, if you want to, let me just have a look here for a second. All right. So an answer is, if you answer anything, it's something spoken or written, a reply, response, to a question, or request, which is to take possession. Take possession is basically another word for you're taking an offer, okay? And the offer is all you receive from an agent. They're there to present you with an offer, and the offer is there for you to transgress, okay? And the transgression is not between you and him, it's actually between you and the maker, the designer of all this. It's all there for you to transgress. All right, transgress meaning to sin, to fall short. You can call it whatever you like, and it's just showing you an example of how easy it is to transgress the primal forces of nature, which is basically knowledge, eaten from the tree of knowledge, which the system is like the tree of knowledge. The system is like an absolute replica example of in the scripture of what it is to eat from the tree of knowledge. Did you tell me not to eat from the tree of knowledge? Well, nobody actually told you you can't eat from the tree of knowledge. So it's always about considering the unknown factor. And that's why in these, if we're doing some kind of a call here, you're considering the anomaly, you're considering the unknown, you're considering the invisible absentee landlord that is pretty much everywhere. And it all comes out in spoken word. So if you respond to anything, if you answer to anything, that's why anything you say or do, so anything you say, or you say nothing, or you do something, or you do nothing, right? Anything you say or do, right, may or may be used either against you, to testify. You're testifying against yourself by speaking. That's pretty much why you don't talk to an agent, is because it will be used against you. So you want to be careful in responding or answering to anything. So, and that's why it's very careful to listen to what it is someone is saying, which is the agent, and they normally ask you the agent's questionnaire. And very few people, if any, I don't think I've come across anyone on the planet who actually studies the very system that created it, that created the people. So the people on the planet have all gone through. I mean, I haven't met everyone on the planet, but if it's true, 90 or I don't know, I can't even put a percentage of it. But most people who speak a language, that's if that's a technology, then that was passed on through the parents, through the school, through the system. So we've all gone through the system. And it's the very system that encouraged you to take the spoken word and turn it into written. So you learn how to write, you learn how to sound out words, and once you sound out a word, you start to attach a meaning, which is interpretation, and then you look at something. As soon as you look with the eye, you go straight away into the assumption of believing that you are the one and know what you're looking at. So
Daniel, quick question, brother. So are you saying that using the language, picking up the language and using it this way is so detrimental to us because there's no true studying of the language? We just pick it up and use it without really using it carefully, or without really.
We don't consider whose language it is. We actually use it like it's ours. Like this is my language. I've adopted it, and I'm speaking it as if it's my property, because I speak from I am. Come down to the station and make a statement. Now I make a statement. I become a maker. So it's very simple. Like, I'll give you an example. The system actually reveals itself many times. It reveals itself how it operates. And I'll give you an example of this, if I may. Just give me a moment. All right. Where are we? So does that sort of answer the, just before I go on to that, does that sort of answer the question in relation to, you know, if you've got, if there's a wallet or something like that, that you give it to them if it's there, you give them a question before you just give something. Don't ever assume it's yours to give, yeah, without a question there. You know, is this what you're looking for? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So does that sort of answer or not answer? Does that help with what you were talking about before?
I believe if I meditated on it a little bit more, brother, I believe it does. I believe it does the trick. Yes.
Yeah, look, because it really comes back to where one's at. And if the head's full of full of knowledge, these very simple questions, they won't come out of the mouth.
Right.
Don't ask me why it's like that. It's actually very how can I put it? It's actually a bit like a twilight zone. Why don't these questions come out of the mouth? It's because when you're not renewing the mind, emptying out the trash between the ears, we're stuck with the program and we actually speak it. And the program is always the identification of I am. And I and me, I'm so fucking important, so to speak, yeah? So actually, I'll just give you a little bit of a snapshot. Sometimes you can find a lot that is revealed in the local papers or even in the main newspapers, right? So there's I'm always interested in prosecutions, you know, the Office of Public Prosecution. So there was this article about the media fought against some order, initially unsuccessful. So there was a hearing at the county court, and there was a committal hearing. So it was to do with a policeman who charged a man. So when they've charged a man, he goes into an interview room, all right, and then they listen to what comes out of the mouth, and then they charge you. So charge the man had told the prosecution so there's a suppression order that they call it, okay, which is it's a bit like where they don't reveal who, like once you start making claims in this part of the world, you become merchandise. So you can actually, your face can be put on, you know, the national newspaper, you go on TV, you go everywhere. Once you start making claims, you become basically public property. So that's why you want to really ask, be in the question mode. So there was an example of the accused. Once he went in, he was talking about his status, right? That he was a very important and popular man. So the prosecution denied him in being supportive. They didn't want him. They weren't supportive of the suppression order. In other words, he's this particular case, which is interesting. The accused or the offending, he says, included his arrogance of a person of status. So his arrogance is saying my status. So as soon as he went into my, which is my possession, the newspaper article was talking about the arrogance of this person, because he talked about my status, because I'm a very important person, and I'm you know, and then the prosecution goes, I'm opposed to his status, which basically said the opposite of being gifted in with anonymity. So down here, just because you're a famous person and you want to suppress the name to be out in the media, well, now that you're making the claims, you actually can't hold that, suppress that order. In other words, you become now, you know, public, and any claim that you made, it's basically you become like up for the dressing. So once you plead guilty or not guilty to the charges, you're committed to trial. And that's basically these articles. I guess why I'm reading it is because these little key things, they're talking about arrogance. Yeah. So little key things when you start talking about my, and that's just little keys. So whose system is this? So if you're being classed as arrogant, then it's very interesting how arrogance comes back to possession. You're making a claim about, hey Pete, you're making a claim of possession. My status. I'm a very important person. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's very telling that the prosecutor says I'm opposed to his status.
That's right. That's right. He's opposed, and that's what it is, because that's a contradictor now. So you're set in opposition. So as soon as you make a statement, they're there to go in opposition, and that's pretty much how things run down here. So it's just, I just wanted to give you a little snip. So a lot of these things, you find it in the newspaper, you find it on TV, you find out, well, whose system is this? And then once you start to really delve deeply, and once you start to investigate the very system that educated you with the programs, you realise that it's the very system that you can actually start to unprogram yourself and unfuck yourself in a way, or what do you call it? Start hacking oneself in bringing yourself back to zero or neutral, because the system is showing you that you're arrogant in believing that you believe you own something, that you're in possession. Yeah, it's actually spelling it out in the papers. So would it make sense if the system is actually showing you at the same time as it's prosecuting you? It's kind of crazy, right?
Kind of crazy, beautiful.
It is. It's like that's why if you don't. It's like, how else does one actually see whose system it is until you start actually, investigating further whose system, whose system are we using? Use it. A lot of people don't realise that you can actually use the system use the system for whatever you may need it for, but just know one thing, right? If you're needing it for help, or you're needing it for, for whatever reason, as soon as there's an agent that comes around and asks you some questions, you just go straight into question mode, and that's it. It's a two-way sword. There's kind of help, and then there's, on the other hand, there's liability. So you need to sort of be able to juggle both, and actually be able to see it clearly with a crystal clear vision, right? What's the difference between help and is there a difference there with liability, when basically someone's claiming that you've made a claim? In other words, you've lost your license. There's a these are the dates. And you've got an accord. You've got an accord with Vic Roads, which an accord is just another word for agreement. You've that's possession. So with the wooden idols, and that's really all we're looking at. So how do we navigate all of this? Is by really listening to these agent questionnaires, which basically the biggest question I find that works extraordinarily well. It all comes back to the Little Red Riding Hood. Don't talk to strangers. Do I know you? Don't talk to strangers. Do I know you? Don't talk to strangers is the statement. Do I know you is what? Question.
How you demonstrate it, right?
Yeah. So you've got the warning, right? Don't talk to strangers, which is this folk story has been around for, I don't know, probably since the dawn of time, Little Red Riding Hood. So there's two laws that pretty much Little Red Riding Hood goes by, which is don't talk to strangers and stay on the path.
Mm-hmm.
Staying on the path is staying on the proposition, staying on what you hear. Staying on path is not leading yourself astray from the question. Is staying on point with the possessive questions that you're hearing, staying on point with the questions that the wolf is asking you. Where you going? What's in your bag? You know, what are you doing here? You know, do I know you? Actually answers all those questions. Yeah. Don't talk to strangers. Well, do I know you? Then why are you talking? Yeah.
Right.
Why are you actually talking to these agents? Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, brother. Speaking of
Because
propositions from the wolf, someone who made the jump over here from the YouTube videos of these calls came over, and they sent in a paper and asked if you would be so kind to check it out. Now we could do that another time, but I did upload it just a few minutes ago. Just wanted to make you aware of it.
Oh, that the offer. So can you repeat that, what you said there, please?
Someone made the jump over from YouTube. They said they were interested in hearing the calls and such. So they are off the call tonight, but they sent in this offer or proposition from the wolves, from the dogs of war, and they were curious if they could get a take from you on it.
Okay, so I've just clicked on it. So so if I've just clicked on it, what does it come up with? Let me have a look. Hang on a second.
It comes up. It comes up for me. It's a cancellation of vehicle registration, and there's
okay, all right.
Okay,
Yes, I can see it. Hang on a second. How many pages? It's 2 pages. All right. So what they've just. Oh, this is someone from New South Wales. Is that right? This is from Australia. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It says Australia Post at the bottom.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just pretty much cancellation of vehicle registration being cancelled. We cancelled 20 something. You pay to pay. Yeah. So okay. So there you go. So this is what's going on down here, and it's basically if you don't pay the fines, they start cancelling your license, and then when you drive out there, you're pretty much going to have these superhighway centurions just fucking fall out of the sky and jump on top of you, and basically confiscate your car and pretty much take you off the road immediately. This is how quickly things are done down here. So if you open your mouth, this is why I'll keep talking about the mouth is the fruit. Whatever comes out of the mouth, it gives the agents instant jurisdiction. So cancellation of vehicle registration, right, straight away, that's basically, it's an offer. Now, the offer is in the wooden idle, first of all. It's the paper. Your vehicle registration is being cancelled, right? This is the same with most people, even with me, right? So how are you going to deal with it? Now you've got to deal with this 2 sides. First, you get the wooden idle, right? Study the system. So the wooden idle comes in the form of an offer, right? And the offer is cancellation of vehicle registration, right? So vehicle cancellation and registration, that's the offer, and pay now. So you need to pay whatever, $10,000 or $500 or whatever it is, and that's that. And once you pay it, you can get your privilege of driving back again. You see. So once you start answering to the notice actually notices you, and you go into an agreement or an accord. You go into an accord, which basically it's an instant jurisdiction. Yeah. Does that make sense or not?
It makes a lot of sense, because you were talking about earlier, they be careful how you answer. So you're saying the answer is what gives jurisdiction, and basically it gives because you're taken and you get what you put out, right? So you're taken.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it even says here your vehicle registration. Yeah. So your possession, right? Registration is being cancelled, right? Because you're in possession. Your vehicle registration will be cancelled. That's right. So you can send the paperwork back. That's fine, right? Because you have other outstanding overdue fines, right? So they're basically going to say, there's penalties up to $10,000 and even imprisonment and God knows what if you don't pay these fines, right? So if you're afraid of these fines, in a sense, pay it if you've got the money. I probably recommend most people pay the fines, because once the Darth Vader comes out to question you and stops you on the side of the road and goes, "I've been waiting for you," right? They're always waiting for you to open your mouth, and now we can enforce the order. And the order is basically, confiscation is the name of the game here. Yeah, which is the liability. Yeah, there's a liability to opening your mouth. You open your mouth long enough, you let the flies in. There's a liability for you talking, right? And if you can't control the tongue, the system will control it for you. And the more you open it, the more you speak it, right? The more the system will take you deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into a chasm that you've never experienced how deep it can go. And if you like to see how deep the chasm goes, just keep making claims. You'll never come out. You'll be gone forever. You're already taken. Once you're taken, you're completely taken. It's pretty much like the demons within you have completely consumed you. And all you do is defend yourself and defend the program that you've inserted into yourself. And now you become a defender, and you'll defend it and for eternity. And yet it wasn't even your program to begin with, and yet you defend it to your death. It's the most bizarre thing.
Sounds sad.
Well, it's terribly sad, because we don't even consider these things. We don't consider the anomaly, the unknown forces. And that's what these revenue government, requests to take possession are all about, is to consider the unknown factor. There's an absentee landlord that is in every particle that's everywhere, but you just can't see it. But yet, as soon as you open the mouth, then enforcement can now establish itself. So you open the whole game is open your mouth. This is it. There's nothing else really to talk about. You open your mouth, you speak. Come with me. You're going to jail. I know it sounds fucking bizarre, but I'd love to talk with people who think they know shit and find out what happens when you open your mouth. I mean, I don't know. Look, people might have a few successful experiences and go, oh, we're fucking this and this. That's great. You want to follow man? Great. You might have a few wins, right? If you're looking for short-term, short-sighted, you're defending a cause, or you're on a mission, you know, to save humanity from the evils of this world, well, good on you. See how far that gets you. But this is what's pretty much happening on a pretty big scale down here is, yeah, these notices, they come knocking on, they go in, those notices, the wooden idols, they appear in the mailbox, and there's the opportunity for you to consider those offers. Like right here next to me, I've probably had about, I don't know, there's probably about 10 notices just to me. They've actually increased for some reason. I don't know. Sometimes you think that they're going to slow down, but you know what? They actually increase. And I just put it all back into one envelope, the 10, because they're all from the same company. And I put it back in bulk. Otherwise, I'll be doing paperwork for like ridiculous amount of time. And all I do is just send a note, you know, upon consideration, yeah, is there a signed agreement between you and me? And I say you and me because we're always considering that it's from someone. Yeah, is there a signed agreement? You're not looking for who, and that's what I wanted to go through with you on this call. Is this? I don't know. I think there was a couple of YouTubes or something, the Batman stuff and whatnot. I wouldn't mind going through with you, but this thing about looking for who. So imagine the agent's right in front of you. Now, why would you be looking for who if they're right in front of you? Yeah?
Makes sense, brother.
Who's claiming I made a claim? Why are you asking for who? He's right in front of you telling you you're making claims and you're in possession of the car. So as soon as you start talking who's another word for blame. Yeah, it's actually a witch hunt. So whenever you hear who, you got to ask yourself, who you flipping talking about? Because it's got to do with who. It's got to, obviously, no one's ever met them, right? So if you've never met them, why don't you ask the question, do I know you? Is that something a little bit simpler than all this who business talk?
Well, is saying who kind of like bringing up terms because the agent never even said anything about who?
Who is kind of like, would you say meddling? It's like pointing a finger. Who is looking for blame? Who did this? Right? I remember as who am I to ask such a question, right? Because I never forget years ago when I was playing in a pool there with a whole bunch of kids, someone threw a stone and whacked me in the bloody eye. And I just went, who the hell threw this stone? So straight away, you know, all the kids went quiet and so forth. Now, instead of me going, who, I'm looking for someone to blame, right? So whenever you hear the word who, or who's claiming this, who's claiming that, and who, and who in the zoo, you're actually in a zoo when you ask these questions. They're just they're the no cigar questions. You know, there's no cigar when you ask these questions. Why? Because you're pointing the finger. You're looking for blame. You're looking for a witch hunt. Where are they? Who are they? They've got to be out there somewhere. Until I meet the claimant. Who are they? You know, I'll talk to you until I meet the claimant, you know. Down here, you start talking that way, the judge is going to provide you with everything that you're looking for and completely bamboos you with who, like you got no idea, and put you in a zoo with monkeys and you'll be jumping up and down like a chimpanzee. You won't know the difference. You won't know who's the different chimpanzee. It's that crazy. Yeah, at least you'll be in good company. Yeah, that's right. So you want to be really careful about the who question. That's why these questions such as, do I know you? It deals with all of these who in the zoo questions. Because do I know you? You're not looking for who, are you? When I say do I know you, you're talking to the one in front of you. Are you asking for who? Why are you asking for who when you're talking to the one in front of you? It's like you need a psych evaluation.
Right, it's crazy.
Yeah. So once you start to break down the major assumptions of some of the major questions that are being asked I mean, people used to ask, by what authority, blah, blah, blah. Good luck with that question. You know, the authority's right there and they're going to come down on you. I'm the authority. You brought up terminology, right? So now we can investigate you. Whatever you bring up, we're going to investigate, yeah? So that's what I really mainly wanted to talk about is this who question. Yeah, who's claiming I made a claim, or who, who's the claimant until I meet the claimant, claiming I've made a claim. I mean, that's all great little, starting point, but you want to get past the who, that's all. If you can't get past the who, it's kind of like stuck in some kind of, the rat wheel, the little rat or mouse that's going around in the circle.
Oh yeah, the hamster wheel.
Yeah, that's exactly what who is. Whenever you hear who, you want to ask, well, hang on, who you talking to first of all, and if they're in front of you, because down here everything's in front of you. They fall from the sky, and you've got to deal with the one in front of you, which is the agent. Yeah.
Right.
So instead of looking for who and looking for who sent them, well, you ask, do I know you? That's it. And you go from there. Why are you here? And go from there.
Do you think who is like an attempt to show that there's no joinder, but it's just doing it in the wrong way?
There you go. Yeah, it's an attempt, but no cigar.
Okay.
It's a bit like a lot of these videos that you send me or whatever. These guys, they like to sound, it's like they're trying to educate the copper. Like the right to travel, he's just endlessly talking about he's hardcore possessed by the programs, and he's educating, and he's just doing what the state did to him. That you can tell the state is very successful. How do you know the state's very successful? Is because the state now, he speaks like the state, because now he's trying to educate the ones around him. So when you're an educator, you're passing on the program and saying, look it up. And when you're looking it up, it's the very system that you're looking into that actually you're talking from. When are we going to wake up to this? You know what I mean? When are you going to wake up to this? It's the very system that has actually made you to seek out this information and seek out that over there. And yet that's the very system that is providing that information, and you're trying to, in some way, trying to educate the one in front of you who's, and then he lets you go, and you think, oh, this stuff's fantastic. He let me go. Oh, I'm fucking so amazing. This stuff works, or whatever it is, the delusion of it, yeah?
Well, that's why I'm curious why he would even entertain it, because the man was spouting off so much evidence of possession that it was, I was scared for the brother. I said, man, to be sure, he's going to jail this very day.
Yeah, but don't forget, he might be, and there's a lot of these examples where the state's got a, how can I put it? Don't forget, the state needs believers. Without believers, it's like, what state? Is there even such a thing as a state? All right. So once you're a believer, you're able to preach the stuff, refer people to this information, that information, and you start listening to the same way this guy is preaching to the state. It's the same way that religion or Jehovah's Witnesses or any religion or Christian or any are preaching the doctrines. They're all doctrines that have been educated into you, that have been programmed into you by encouraging you to take these programs. And now you're doing the same. Once you start to see that, how do you know the system is successful? Well, the system's extremely successful when you start preaching. Does that make sense? And preaching is telling someone else what you believe you know, or what you think you know, and thinking that there's read this book, read that book, and that you've got the solution there. Yeah.
Goes back to what you said earlier. It's just another form of an answer.
There you go. Spot on. That's right. So that's why, why answer? And this guy, you know, I don't know if I can go and listen too much of it, but
Yeah.
I mean, we can have a little bit of fun with it if you want.
Well, brother, you can just kind of, I mean, if you checked it out already, you could just kind of, summarize or give the thoughts on it. I was just curious, why you would think that he would be permitted to go peacefully.
Oh, say that again.
I'm just curious why he would be permitted to go peacefully. Because this is grade A, throw him in jail type stuff from the people who are looking for possession, and he's spouting possession. So I'm just curious why in the world.
Did I already tell you before that the state needs believers, and you'll find that, how did he get away with it? And this other guy didn't get away with it. Right. You know what I mean? So to think that way is kind of irrelevant. Like, to me, if I was to play it right now, which I'll just put it on. Hang on a second.
There's a hidden muscle
here we go.
that can make changing chords on guitar as easy as pushing a button.
Well, I am interested in solutions.
You sign a contract for your license
and if it's the same results every single time, then there's something interesting there to me.
Say that again.
I said I am interested in solutions, though. So, I mean, if he were to get the same results every single time, well, then that would pique the interest.
Well, this is how I see it. If he receives it every single time, I don't know if I'd be anywhere interested in it. Why? Because it all still comes back to, who do you follow? Do you follow man and his doctrines, or do you empty out all that trash? So this is how I see it, and this is how it works. When I say it works, this is how I go about things. If I'm going about anything, is if when it comes to man, there's no one to follow. Which man do you follow? Do you follow a man, right, or do you follow? When I say how can I put it? It's kind of like, how does anyone make sense of anything, and how does anyone find the way back home, so to speak? And it's kind of like, well, does a 2-year-old child know about any of this crap that this guy's talking about? No. So why would you? Well, if a child doesn't know these things, and a child is protected in a way, well, isn't that something you'd want to go back to? Something that really, what do you know? What is it?
Why he got around that was jurisdiction.
And
he wasn't. He didn't,
hang on.
He's not considered an American citizen.
Yeah.
He's an American national.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's out of their jurisdiction in that situation.
Yeah, well, maybe there's reasons for it, but if I listen to it, like, if
a vehicle's not registered over 6 months, can get towed. Yeah, I don't use registration or license when I travel.
Okay, why is that?
Because I'm not a United States citizen.
So what are you?
I'm a state national.
Okay, so do you have a driver's license?
No, I use a passport when I travel.
What the fuck?
But it's just a matter of jurisdiction.
It's just jurisdiction, really. Look, I'm not this, I'm that. As soon as you start talking like that, I kind of see it as, all jurisdiction, really.
So he's playing a dangerous game, is what you're saying. Even though he may have got a quote unquote win this time, he's still playing a dangerous game because he's arguing from traditions of man. He's arguing from belief. And you're saying the other way takes it to neutral, and that's why you feel more comfortable with.
It's not about comfortable. I don't know how to put this. I'm not relying on man coming to save me. I've never ever looked upon man as my saviour.
Mm-hmm.
As I've never looked at, man, the very doctrine that he speaks. Whose doctrine is it? And and am I to look upon this man as his? Do I look for answers? Because if you're looking for answers, you'll follow man. I mean, who's actually content with the question? Very few, apparently, seem to be, content with the question.
Just meddle with the primal forces of
And
nature.
and quite frankly, is it true that man meddles with the primal forces of nature, which is basically thinking they're using a technology, a language, doesn't belong to them, just like this arsehole. And if you think, or anyone thinks that, oh, he's had a great win and maybe he's having another 100 more wins, right, well, where's it going to end? Follow it. Follow man. Anyone who follows man, great. You'll find that there may be an end road to it. So if that's the focus, then you're looking to get out of something, because don't forget this guy. Just listening to him.
Passport?
Yeah, I got a passport.
I've got a
Would you like to see it?
passport.
There you go.
You reside in California?
No.
Who's the vehicle registered to?
Well, I own the vehicle. I have my
Yeah,
MCO right here.
I have.
It's not registered to the state.
Do you plan on registering it?
No, I let the registration expire because,
So then should I keep your vehicle?
well, no, I don't think that that's reasonable.
It's legal. By the vehicle code.
Yeah, but it's not
I'm
lawful.
not gonna.
I'm not operating in commerce. I'm not operating in commerce. You
So-
guys have the
You just need to count down here. Look, maybe things are very lenient over there, but down here, if you speak from the IM, look down here. I reckon it's probably a lot more. I'd say that this so-called continent or land, Australia, it's probably closer to the sun than any other country on the planet. I don't know. There is something about that when it comes to Possession Island, because it's kind of like Australia. I don't know. There's something about it where if you speak I am or I'm not, there's a force that just, who can explain it, brother? It's going to come on you like an anvil out of the sky. And,
Well,
and
I
this
do,
is
but
what-
I'm sorry. Continue, brother.
go on.
Well,
So
I was just gonna say I do believe that Australia is definitely closer to the sun. Just based off of the things I've seen and heard. I believe there's an illusion of leniency here, but I'm unsure how long that illusion is going to last. I
Yeah.
do believe we're headed the same way in the same place because
Yes,
we're a crown
actually.
colony, just like
Yeah.
Australia.
And it's very interesting you say this, because I was talking to one of the brothers the other day, and he was saying that what's taking place in a sense is that all the courts are all aligning itself to be exactly in sync with one another. In other words, there's no difference between going to court here in Ringwood or Melbourne or going to Tennessee to a court, or where you are. You know what I'm saying? In other words, the judge they'll go by the exact same criteria as it is where you are. They'll ask you, how do you want to plead, guilty or not guilty, or what's that? It's the bar, yeah. And it'll be consistent. It's like the one rule right across the planet, which is possession. And if you don't deal with the have, the got, the get, the had, the my, the your, and all of these possession, you'll become undone very, very quickly. And go on.
So are you saying that the courts and the judges are the same everywhere, but the agents' method may differ a little? Is that kind of what
Yeah.
you're
Look, I reckon the like looking at a lot of the IRS notices from the states over the last years, I'll say from some of the guys that have sent to me, the system over there spells it out how the engineering operates, and it's exactly the same here. They spell it out. There's nothing hidden. It's all there. It's just a matter of, do you want to pay attention and do you want to investigate the very system that has educated you, programmed you, to encourage you to take these programs from a very young age, so that there's commerce only through these programs, because once you've inserted it into yourself, there's the identification has now been established within an individual, and an individual is most likely to answer through the offer of you. And as soon as there's the offer of you, it's basically you accumulated, or our records indicate you blah blah. You choose to extend this, and you allow to drive this, or you have your license, or whatever it is. It's all about you. Once you take it, becomes yours. Now you become the possessor of that technology just from the offer. And if you do not consider the offer before you take it, then you most likely you might get off like this guy, and he's a hero, and everyone goes, "Oh, this guy's fucking great, yeah," and follow man and his examples, or you follow the guideline to go by, which is anything you say or do may be used against you. Anything you say, which is you say something, you don't say something. You do something, you don't do something. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So what's left?
question?
So if that's a question, well, that's basically all that is open to one, which is, it's like 13th floor. It's the unknown. It's the anomaly. We're dealing with the anomaly, the unknown factor. And if you look at the matrix, the very beginning of the matrix, there's all this, all that, the screen gets all full of words and, that matrix and all that information.
Code.
And it's all code, which is the word. And on the bottom of that, it's in very small print. It says, it talks about the anomaly, right? The unknown factor. The anomaly it's huge, and that's what we're dealing with the wooden idols, the anomaly. And also we're dealing with the anomaly when it comes to the agent. And the agent is the anomaly. Why? Because do you know them? No, you don't. You do not know the agent, and yet you're speaking to the agent. Why are you doing that? So until you one wises up in going becoming more of a dumbass than smart ass, there might be some kind of hope there for you. What else?
Authority to regulate commerce, right?
Yeah, well, whatever.
Well, what do you mean, whatever? What do you mean, whatever?
All right, so I'm listening to this
I
shit.
understand all that stuff, so I see where this is going. So anyway, the vehicle code in California states that if you're going to drive a vehicle in California, your own one,
This is an automobile, not a motor vehicle. By definition of the California.
Yeah, as soon as you go into definition, you're going into the hell's lair. Yeah, this guy wouldn't last long down here. You start talking like this down here in Australia, he wouldn't. There wouldn't be too many success stories. Maybe there is over where you guys are. That's fine. I'm not speaking for. I'm not speaking. I don't know. I can only speak for myself. But how I've heard and the force and how they operate, they don't miss. They don't let one stone unturned down here. There's absolutely nothing they miss. And if you talk like this, it's not going to be looking good. That's all I can say.
Well, brother, let me just add this one part. There are a few of the divisions called states here that say that they honor right to travel a little more than 45 of the other states do. So he is on California, I believe, which is one of those that do have some things in their rules about right to travel, kind of recognizing it. So a lot of people still have trouble doing it, but for some reason, some people do have a little success with it at the moment. But like we said, I think that's one of those things. It's just an illusion that is still going away because there's really no recognition of it across anywhere else. I mean, there's no uniform recognition. It's just here or there, and then when people do win, it's still rarer.
Yeah, I think. Look, if the focus is to win, or is another word to me is to get out of something. We're really what we're really saying is I like my programs, and I like to keep eating the steak in a sense. That's really how I see it.
Well, I think a lot of people are trying to be left alone, brother. They think
Yeah,
that that's the
yeah.
solution.
Yeah, well, actually, it's the same thing down here, but how successful is that? It's like every time, the more you want to be left alone, the more it seems that the opposite happens. So, to me, I don't know. It's a transmission thing. I don't know how do I put it. How do I put it? If I was to look at it from a to be left alone. Yeah, I don't know if I see it that way because to me, I just look at it as more training. And every time every time they come to me, there's just more training, and there's always meditation. A bit like Jesus meditating when the Pharisees or Sadducees were coming over the mountain. He already was meditating because he knew he would be speaking to them in question or parable. And he was meditating on the question, and that's the same thing.
So is there no point where you believe that there's enough training and you should have a star beside the name and they just...
No, well, look, quite frankly, a star behind name. But look, I'm kind of glad in a way. It's a bit because it's like without it, would you be able to? I don't know. It's the one thing that seems to keep one in the moment, on point. It's the one thing. It's like who needs drugs or alcohol in this country? Even though they, mate, when you're dealing with the agents, mate, you it's like being, you need to wake up. Like if you're asleep, your hands in a bar mix. They're about to make finger soup, tomato soup out of you. How tired are you? You wake up real quick when you got your finger soup in a bar mix there. And they're going to press the button on. So you're going to wake up. This is electric shocks. The electric shock is answering to these so-called anomalies. Once you start answering to these people that you don't know, that's going to be the electric shock that you'll go through.
So it's just a forever refinement.
Oh, we're here. This is training ground, right? How else are we going to? If there was such a thing as evolving, or if there was such a thing as look, imagine there was a period once upon a time on this planet where there was one mind, where the mind was considered we considered the possessor, the maker of all things. There must have been a time on the planet like where man could come together and they were all one mind and they knew that, hey, with the Father they could pretty much do anything. So they worked with the Father. That's probably how they lifted the pyramids and those hundreds and tons of rock that man was able to move in such a way where they still today are perplexed. How did anyone move these bloody stones? And that's because how I see it is when you're working with the Father, anything's possible. But when you're working of your own, there's nothing possible with man. It's all impossible.
So there's too much division to be able to understand that kind of method.
Yeah, there's too much. We're too much of our own. We've become so consumed and lovers of ourselves. It's we've lost the plot completely. Yeah.
Mm.
So, did you want to put on that Batman thing or whatever that you've?
Yeah, brother. Yeah, I think that would be more beneficial to the overall topic.
Yeah, all right.
I was just curious to take on this. That was
Yeah, no, that's all right. I'm going to have a little listen quickly. What else is on this?
There's no reason for you to regulate me.
Okay. All right. Got it.
That's all.
There's no reason. There's always reason. Look, there's a lot in this. You could break it all down, and all you got to do is look for the opposite of everything he's saying, and that's a good start because there's a lot in this video, even though it's a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of opposites. If you can, like for example, if you can flip everything, that's what this is. This would be a good exercise to start to move the brain.
But I do have private insurance, and
I do have. Do you?
I'm driving out here, traveling.
Can I see your insurance?
No, it's private.
Can I see your insurance? No, it's private. What an arsehole. So he's gone in resistance, right?
But
Now he goes, no, it's private. Now it's public. So he goes, no, it's private. Now he's made it public. Everything's opposite. Everything you say is the opposite.
I've communicated.
I communicated.
I've communicated with the authorities, and they know who I am.
They know who I am. And listen to this. This is what I love right now. This claimant goes, they know who I am. And guess what this copper says?
Who are the authorities?
Who are the authorities? Can you believe it? There's always gold in the bullshit, boys and girls. And you've got a copper there asking you, well, who are the authorities? Right. Now, well, why? He's a so-called copper. Now, down here, this is what one of the coppers, the copper goes, I think one of the brothers brought up copper, and the copper goes, well, what's one of those? Now, they're starting to get really clicked on with this question business, right? In fact, the coppers down here, mate, they're probably one of the world's best trained coppers. And they're able to play both sides to basically extract. They get very good at mining down here for knowledge, for information. And if you're ever in a room interrogated in this country, there's a high chance that they would extract something out of you because the agent's questionnaire has been around for a long time. And it's just been finely tuned to the way things are today, which is the people are highly strung in possession, and their role is to mine it out of you, extract the sap, so to speak.
Well, brothers, they start off down here by saying anything you say can and will, not even maybe, can and will be used against you. And people still just spew and speak possession and just have no concern over the words they choose, you know?
There you go. See, now that alone should guide you as to that question alone, boys and girls. This is really the bottom line. If it's something to ponder on just for a moment, it's there for you to consider. Hey, you little assholes and you little swine pig of this earth, you really want to consider these words, because if the word is with the possessor or with God, whatever you want to call it there, but I use the word possessor. Why? Because it's less bastardized, and it's like if the word is with the possessor, with God, and it always has been the property of the Father, then what are you spewing it out? Why are you talking? Why are you using these terms and talking to someone you don't even know? If anything, the technology, the property was to be used amongst one another, where it wasn't meant to be used against one another. It was meant to be used as a tool to for one to, like what did I think I think if there was the first man, Adam, was walking in the fields with the Father in the afternoon, if there was such a story, and he says, well, you name all things, and it was like, well, you know, if I'm with the Father, may I name all things? So you can name the tree, the car, the rail, or whatever it was at the time. Was probably rocks, probably mountains, and God knows what else. But it was name all things. But it was done with the Almighty. It was done with the Father. We didn't go off on our own and start, you know, thinking that these names were my property, my names, because, you know, these names, you know, you name it, go for it. You know, if you're with the Maker, right, then you've got an accord with the Maker. That's the first agreement. That's why the book, the covenant, the book is the first agreement that you have with the Maker. So there's you know, if you've got an agreement with the Maker as number one, why did you stray and go into the interpretation? Because if it's true, is there only one interpreter on this planet? And if there's an interpreter, if there's one interpreter, is that the possessor of the heaven and earth?
What do you think Jesus meant when he said, is it not written that ye are gods?
Well, you are gods, right? That's plural, because you've now eaten from the tree of knowledge. You've now drunk on possession, right? You are now gods. You fed yourself from this tree of knowledge, right? This programming. You've taken this programming for yourself, and now you are just like God. So it's plural. Agree with that, Peter? Once you take from this tree of knowledge, you become just like gods. Define God. Well, there you go. And until you ask the question, define God. Yeah. So that's you know, these scriptures that you may be bringing up are showing examples of taking this technology, this property, that just, you know, we use it. And that's why what you've just said before, anything you say or do can and will be used against you. Well, down here they use that both way, may or can be. Yeah, but it's interesting to hear what you just said. That's very interesting, because they still warn you over there, right? And then they spew it out of the mouth, right? Sure. It's because anything you say is got to do with the program. You've been programmed by the state, and you're gonna preach it. You're gonna now talk about this program. Is the very program that was inserted by yourself. You inserted it because it was encouraged. They didn't force it. They just encouraged you to take it. Just like the wicked witch offering you the apple. You know, that's what the state is all about. The government. It's the wicked witch giving you the offer of right, wrong, or this or that. You know, vote for this team or that team, and you know, that's the liability. You take it, and then you don't like the outcome, which is the liability. Well, you get the bill, and you can't see that you're the one who the stage was set, and you're the one that took it, and now you're crying about it.
Well, the Barbara Rooney, I've talked to her. She has an injunction from me. So I mean, I have a name decree.
I have a name decree, agreement again.
You guys administer the estates of the dead, okay?
You guys administer the state of the dead. Now there's evidence that he's providing evidence that he's from the dead.
That's why you have that's you, the police, policy enforcers for the United States Corporation. That's why you guys are police and not sheriff.
Now he's preaching.
So you have codes, statutes, regulations, and that's what you enforce. But I'm not a person in commerce right now. I appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm not in person. You are a person in commerce, you know, and we're going to whip your sorry ass.
Work with you.
Fix-it tickets?
Yeah, for registration for fix-it ticket.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's worth it.
if you count how many I don't thinks and I reckon there's probably about, just in this 9 minutes, there's probably over 120 I ams and I am nots and I and all this kind of shit. It's a hell of a it's a program that's actually it's an insane program. It actually sends you need such a psych evaluation from this I program. It's astounding. And this video, there's a lot in it. If you want to, if you want to listen to someone who's insane, it's listening to someone like that. It's follow it, yeah. By all means, follow someone like that, because insanity is very catchy. Especially down this part of the world, people love insanity. It's about as contagious as wildfire, and we love it. We drink it up, and yet it makes us sick. And it makes us sick. That's the wicked witch with the apple. Keep taking the apple. Keep taking it. That's really the bottom line. Take it to the bank. Take it every day. Take your medicine.
Time.
Probably not, but I gotta do something.
All right. Well, I mean, I was about to get in and out. I went to the State Department, and
you
I.
have a passport, so you live in the United States. You have to believe in some laws, right?
Well, sure. I believe in law. Yeah.
I believe in law.
You live in.
You live in, and I believe in law. Now the law applies.
Yeah. But there's a difference between law and policy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
when I'm
You live in or live on? Like, what the hell? This guy, and there's the difference. He's telling him now.
when I'm traveling around, I mean, you took an oath to defend the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, God, here we
Liberty is, look, your law enforcement,
Preaching.
sovereign citizens are idiots. You can't be soft.
Correct. You cannot just take the information in this video and just do it. You have to absolutely fully comprehend and understand what he's.
See, this guy's preaching interpretation. Comprehend is another thing for interpretation. You need to take this. So he's selling, just doing the same.
This isn't something where you can just follow a procedure and have it work. That's not the way this works. You need, it's way beyond license and driving. You can get your rights back for almost anything. And we all need to do this. Why? Because this is where it starts. Okay, this is the avalanche. They stopped teaching civics in school for a reason. If you want more information, go to that.
So you want more information, go to blah, 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 blah. Anyway, and I've heard enough about this chappie. So there you go. This is just the propaganda, the sell. If you like the sell, the propaganda, there's thousands of those videos out there. Pick and choose, go for it. Anyway. What else are we going to look at? Oh, what's the Batman one?
Yeah, I thought one of those bat ones would be gold, brother.
All right. Let's have a look.
I'm unsure which one might be better, but it says private. I can make it public real quick if that would help you. So
yeah, man. Yeah, do that, will you?
Yeah, if you want to avoid signing in.
Avoid signing in there, big fella. I like the American accent. So it's quite funny.
But man. I like the Australian accent.
Yeah. That's fun. That's funny. So look, that's why it's so important is to record any interaction that one is facing on a daily basis. Any agent, record it. It's very, very important to record it. Why? Well, first of all, what are they doing? You're not doing. They record you. So why aren't you doing it? They study you. So why are you such a lazy prick and don't want to study them? Huh? So it's really something that you want to bring into every day. Start recording how you even talk. When you're around your friends, just I'm going to record this conversation just for to just hear what kind of rubbish I talk about, and I might start listening to how I speak, and then you start correcting it. That's what the calls were supposed to be about years and years ago with Batman.
That's right.
And I don't know why they've gone the way they have now, I don't know if I even listened to any of those calls for a while, because they're not unless they're renewing the mind and they're sort of unlearning and studying from this. If you don't study from the very when I say study the one thing that studied you. Yeah. So how do you know you're being studied? Well, it's the ones that are asking the questions. They're studying you. They're extracting the sap out of your mouth because you're starting to speak by giving them answers. So as soon as you start to, maybe that word study is maybe it's probably not the right word, but I kind of look at it investigating or scrutinise or interrogate or question the informants, the agents, because they're doing the same thing too. They're doing the same thing to yourself. They're asking you, what are you doing back? So
go ahead and try to reload that, brother. I believe it should be.
Okay, let's have a look. Oh yeah, here we go. Is this one? Can you think?
I believe so. Yep, that's one of them.
Interject. It's a very simple phrase. Be in the world or of the world. It's your choice. In the world, we're in the world with the spirit within the body. It's a
beautiful. In the spirit, be in the world, which is be in the world but not of it. Be of the world is of possession and ownership. So
of the world, being in the world. Being of the world is laying claim to it. By laying claim to things, you become a thing.
Yeah, so you become a thing, which is merchandise. Once you make a claim in this part of the world, you become pretty much the property of the state, and you'll be protected by the state. In other words, they'll protect you by locking you up, and you need to. And then they basically take the body as surety until you can either prove your claim, and if you can't prove your claim, there's a balance of scales that determines the time that you need to spend in the box, because the sentence is the perfect measure that's between the ears. The sentence is like how much you've been drunk on your own programs. So if you look at the programming that you took from the state, now the court system there, it's just taken the program away from you. You might still be in possession of the program, and it follows you into the jail. So the program that you've taken, it follows you wherever they send you, because you're speaking the program that doesn't belong to you. You're speaking the program the state gave to you, and you took it. You didn't ask before you took it. Is this for me? What do I know about that? Do I know you? Why are you here? Start asking those basic questions. What do you mean? How may I help? And go from there.
It's a very simple choice. Do that one again. And say that one again.
Be in the world or be of the world.
Yeah. You claim ownership.
In the world. Okay. Say that again. In the world and of the world is what?
In the world is being, your spirit is in the world. Your spirit is in the body, which is of the world, of the earth.
So the spirit, which if you really want to investigate this, once you start making a claim of the possessor's property, you become basically demonic. You're going against the primal forces of nature. Yeah, it's a big word, but you're going against the primal forces. Why? Because again, you didn't consider the maker, the possessor, right? The word is, right? Whose property is this? And it all goes back to anything you say, they're warning you. What do you think that thing you just said before, brother? They're warning you. This is not your property that you're fucking using. You might get away with it or whatever this time or that time, but there's a time now where it will come, and it'll be crunch time, right? That's what I call the great tribulation or whatever. The time where there'll be the repentance. Yeah, what did I take? You know, did I take something that didn't belong to me? So it's like a battle between demons and angels, and the demon is like the statement, the AI, you know, the matrix, the tree of knowledge, the doctrines of man, which were offered as an offer to be encouraged to take possession of the property of the possessor. Right, so it's kind of like it's a bit like we encourage first you to take, so that you start to, you know, this is the training ground. You start going, oh shit, when you're a kid it all seems lots of fun, and then when you grow up and you're full of possession, you're drunk, you didn't even know about it, because that's all you did is you're on the take. Now you're so drunk with possession, fuck, where do you go from there? Well, if you talk too much to the judge, you go to jail.
Of it, but yeah, I should say, and being
I got this. Lay not your treasures up on earth where moth and thief can get to them, but lay them up in heaven where neither are.
when you claim to be of the world, claiming ownership, you become a thing, just like the things you claim.
There you go. A thing, that's right.
And
that puts you in the world, is that right?
Of the world. That puts
Of the world.
Well, that makes you of the world.
right. And that.
Okay,
Of its ownership.
When you do that, the powers that be that are in control treat you as a thing.
There you go. So the powers, when you're in the world, right? You're in the world. You're considering. How I see being in the world is you're considering the unknown forces, right? The anomaly, the unknown. If you do not consider the unknown factor, boys and girls, it's going to be a rude awakening. This is really the reality in this part. Yeah, when you're in the world, of the world, you're in belief. That's how I see it. Being in the world or of the world. Of the world is like ownership kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you live in the country or do you live on the country? In the country is a matter of belief. You're in, how can you be in the country unless you're buried?
Yeah.
Dead. On, you're above. Standing above country,
Well,
I believe.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
all right. That's look. Either way, it's kind of like, how do you live in this world? And that's you want to take possession, or is there another way of doing this? That's maybe a way to look at it.
So when you claim that name, you claim ownership, you're accusing your brother, you become a debt.
Now, when you claim that name, that name is not only a name, it's a word, it's a title, it's a term, right? It's a terminology. That's why it's important to look at, okay, when you claim that name, it's just not the name that you think you're using. A name goes far, far deeper. The name is, you need to broaden that out and start writing, holy shit, what's a name? Holy shit, a name is a word, a combination of words. It's a title, it's a person, place, thing, body, class, object, thought. It's a thought. And if I'm thinking, am I making assumptions? What's another word for thought? Thought is making assumption, is taking possession, right? So if there's all these things, have I considered, how the hell am I taking a thought? If I thought something, bring all thoughts into subjection. Is that true? Is it in the scripture where it talks about bringing all thoughts into subjection to the Father, right? So if you're making a claim of the name, well, are you entitled to that name, right? Are you the title holder, right, of that word? So you bring up a terminology, a claim or claimant. Now you're the title holder, the title possessor. You're the possessor of the name, the word, the title, and on it goes. That's why you've got to broaden this out bigger and go, oh, I won't claim the name, but then you start using terminology like claim it and on 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 it goes. The name just doesn't stay with the name that you've been known to answer to. The name is a word and a combination of a billion words, of all the words that you can even perceive or see, even think you know what you're seeing, right? So start looking at what exactly all that is. And if the word is with the maker, and maybe put that scripture out there and start, you know, we could look at where we are. The word is with God and, you know, always has been and always will be, the property of the maker. This word is not our word. What's so hard to grant? What's so hard to understand that?
I put a spell on you because you're mine. It all goes back to that.
There you go. Put that Credence song, isn't it? What's that song?
Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Screaming Jay Hawkins. I put a spell on you because you're mine.
Because you're mine.
Yeah, I put a spell on you.
It all starts with I.
With I. That's all, boys and girls. Everything says come down to the station, make a statement. The statement starts with I. And nice and easy.
Collector, they treat you accordingly. That's why lawyers don't answer your papers. They don't need to. You don't need to answer a debt collector. The guy's accusing his.
So not only do you give up your crown, but you step yourself down to being a fraud.
Ah, man, you just humble yourself.
No, I'm saying when you do what you just said, when you claim something that's not yours, you not only gave up your crown, but you also made yourself a criminal unknowingly. And that's why I want to tell people that this is what they're doing.
Well, you are actually very, very important pick up there is once you make a claim or you take possession of a term, a title, a word, a name, whatever you want to fucking call it, you basically become a criminal. And if you don't realise that, the word is with the Father and it ain't your word. And once you take possession of a word or a term, now there's a liability that goes with that, and that's basically you know you become a criminal and subject to prosecution. You know, and if you don't believe it's true, well, go out and start making claims and see what happens to you.
Unknowingly. So I want to help share with people.
You don't really have to say that. They just have to operate their lives differently and just lead them through the process. Lead them through the Armageddon. They're gonna have to go through it.
Unknowingly, I have a problem.
I don't have a problem with that too.
Unknowingly, see, the thing of it is, where's the law written? The law is written on every man's heart. Everyone knows it. The problem is, how many listen to that heart, that little voice that tells them the right thing to do, but they'll let their logic and their emotions lead them to do something different.
Yep.
Yeah, their logic and emotions. Yeah, I would agree with that. But listening to the heart, that's a start. But how do you listen to the heart when you got the troopers? You got Darth Vader right in front of you, asking you, questions straight out, straight off the bat. How you gonna deal with that? And that's really the bottom line is how do you demonstrate? How do you actually listen to the question for question? And that's why we're strongly focused on the system, which is the agent's questionnaire, because there's no other. Show me another way where we can actually unlearn from. If there is a structure to go by, there is already a structure that's in place. You want to reinvent it, or is there one already in front of you? So if there's one already in front of you, well, hey, it's already there. So would you pay attention? If it's already there in front of you, would you pay attention to it? Would you use it? Would you scrutinise it? Would you question it? Would you interrogate it? Yeah. Is there an opportunity to interrogate it, or does one go into defence and does one go into to reacting or to deny or oneself the opportunity to scrutinise, to see these as an opportunity, and on it goes.
Yeah, well, I would very seldom do the right thing if I wasn't following, that little voice, I mean, look at tonight. I mean, I asked for it, and here you guys are. How cool is that? I understand that these are honorable people, and they want to do the right thing now. Allow them to be honorable.
Honourable? Well, you be careful thinking that way. There's only one function that they come from, and the function is if you look at they, meaning Legion, meaning the state, the police, the centurions, whatever you want to call it, the function is basically the function is to be let loose upon this world to sort the wheat from the chaff. How do they do that?
Jew hunters.
What?
Jew hunters.
The Jew hunters. The Jew hunter. This is really important, actually. There's a movie called Inglorious Bastards, and I recommend.
Just the property of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So there's a question that the SS agent asks. Soon as he approaches the property, he goes.
First line in the movie.
It's the first line in the movie. And he goes, is this the property of blah, blah, which is the name, right? The name has got to do with the word, right? Mm-hmm. And what's the word? The word is property. Is this your property? Are you in possession of this word? Because if you're in possession of this word, now we can prosecute you. We can actually take you now and scrutinise your sorry ass and basically lock you up because you're in possession of property that ain't yours. This is the possessor's property, and you're a greedy little swine, a piglet, who's taken property that doesn't belong to you. When are you going to wake up to this? When are you going to wake up to that property? And if you find that movie, Inglorious Bastards, it's in the first scene. Type it Inglorious Bastards. If you want to study the agent, the SS agent, who basically is a Jew hunter, and what a Jew hunter is the word. Right, we're out to see who is in possession of the word, and the word is with the maker. And if you are in possession of this word, of the word, well, I can basically get my guys out there with the trooper who've got guns, and I can fill you full of lead because you've given me jurisdiction to do so. Right? Too simple.
Well, by sharing with them.
They are honourable. There's no allowing them.
They're honourable, all right. When they fill you full of lead, I call that honourable because you've basically not only have you killed those so-called Jews that are hiding under the house. Why? They're hiding. Anyone who hides is an owner. Anyone who's hiding, right? They're hiding something, right? They're guilty. So they all got slaughtered. Okay? So start connecting the dots.
These people are the most honorable people you'll ever run across. Why do you?
Well, honorable? Well, do they answer you? Well, what are they doing you're not doing? Well, they're there to extract out information. Do I know you?
Keep accusing your brother.
Yeah, keep accusing your brother. Keep looking for who's the claimant. Keep accusing your brother. Who's claiming this and who's claiming I made a claim? Keep looking for who. He's pointing the finger. Did we talk about that earlier?
We did talk about that earlier.
Yeah.
There's no claims on the name. The government can zero the account. But as long as there's a claim, the name is in escrow. How many people, I think most people, well, not most, but the point of the matter is people, I mean, you get these charges, and even though you paid the fine, the charges are still on the record. See? Nobody's ever zeroed the account because there's still an outstanding claim on the name. Chances are, though, people are in honor. They're not going to do things like that anyway.
Yeah, they won't.
You don't bring harm to your brother. But we need to get over ourselves. Just having more property and stuff, thinking we're superior because we claim to own things, when actually all we're doing is becoming slaves to things. And that's, you know, that's why we get manipulated the way we do. It's our own fault.
There you go. And being manipulated is beautiful because we become vulnerable and susceptible to the offer. How? because we don't scrutinise the offer. We don't exercise that brain between the ears, and therefore we become subject to vulnerability and disease, and we become weak and vulnerable, because we once you take, we become something a lot less than the potential that we can possibly be.
We manipulate ourselves thinking we're going to have an advantage because we can own something when we got anything we need. All we got to do is go take it when we need it.
Well, you know, take it when we need it, or, you know, if you know, do we agree? So there's ways of using stuff without making a claim of using shit. If you put a question before, you know, anyone using this, if there's no one around, still make the mental question and looking above. Like even the Dukes of Hazzard. If you ever watched the Dukes of Hazzard years ago, the mechanic, he looked at the government official's car, and he fell in love with the car, and he looks above to the maker of things, and he goes, like, the question is, do you mind if I use the car? And off he goes. He hotwires the car and takes it for a spin. Do you think he got caught for theft? No, because he's considered the maker. It's made in heaven.
If we give it all, that's the way I see it anyway.
Right.
Interject. It's a
do we give it all, or is it mine to give in the first place? You know, give possession. Yeah. So the Inglorious Bastards, if you look at that one, this guy's an absolute masterpiece in the questions. If you really want to look at that, then that's a wonderful opportunity to actually listen very, very carefully to all his questions and the answers the farmer gives. He's about as guilty as anything, and the agent should have put a bullet into his head, because he was as corrupt as anything, and he was as guilty as unbelievable. And he murdered everyone downstairs or under the house. So there you go. These people that you think are righteous and they're nice people, you've got to ask yourself what comes out of their mouth. You know, it's a little bit like that movie. What was that movie where there's this guy talking about a recipe, and he gives up a recipe just like that. It's a secret recipe, and he gives it up. He gives up the recipe. Yeah, the family recipe. He gives it up in a blink of an eye to one of the head honchos, and he goes,
"Say you give up the family recipe tomorrow, you give me up."
Yeah. So if you're that easy to give up the family recipe, how easy are you going to give me up? Yeah. So now you gave up the family recipe. Oh, I'm just saying. No, you're not just saying. You're just saying give you 10 years. All right. The family recipe. Holy shit. How easy was that to give up? Now you're going to give me up just like your family recipe. Yeah. So there's a lot of lessons in that, boys and girls. Any other examples you guys might want to go through?
There was one other bat clip, brother, but I mean I think that one will suffice. I mean, you know, if you're
how long's the other one got for? I mean, how long? Where is it? I can go through it if it's another 10 minutes or whatever.
It was right next to the other one. It was right next to the other one.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Let's have a look back to. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah. Meddling kids.
We do in this matter is I'm here for that matter. Thereby not claiming the game, the name.
Yeah, we did all that stuff. I'm here for that matter. Now that you bring up terminology, I'm here for that matter. Now they can proceed down here. Everything down here, commerce begins with I am here. I am. Now, this thing, I am here, it's so profound because it's got to do with, right, you're making a claim of I am here, right, for that matter. Okay, so straight away what you're doing with that statement, I'm here for that matter, you're basically laying the foundation that you're establishing instantly where and when, which is the jurisdiction of guilty and not guilty, which court can only proceed with you are here, which basically it's verifying that you're in possession of, that you know where you are. Okay, once you know where you are, you become the maker of that matter.
Would that be making it easier for the court officials to do their job if you're verifying
it
stuff?
makes it easier for them to prosecute you. Yes,
right.
Absolutely. And these questions that are spoken there, like this, for example.
A mistake. They're by not claiming the game, the name, and there's a mistake.
Now, there is no mistake when you make the claim. Now, I'll go again.
I'm here for that matter.
I'm here for that matter. Okay. Now, you need to go to court and ask these questions. And down here, you know, if I said we did this.
Prison work.
What's that?
Prison work.
Yeah. Prison works pretty well down here. Present, yeah. You really, instead of going, I'm here for that matter, you know, the judge will call out the name. Now, just bear in mind, you know, we were head fucking with this bullshit name business for fucking long time. I remember I was doing it for a long time, and it's like, holy shit. I realised there's actually no contradictor when it comes to the name. And, you know, no one's gonna, there's no issue with the name as such. Yes, it's the word, it's connected to, you know, the word is the property of the maker, but hey, you know, what's the issue, right? So it's the charges that join onto the name. So you need to deal with the charges, not focus on the name. The name is just another smoke and mirrors. It's like a rabbit warren. You know, when they call out the name, big deal. If they say, is this your name? Deal with it. What the fruitcake do you mean by your, right? Do you mean the name? Oh, yes, I mean the name. I've been known to answer to that sound. You can go by that. That's fine. But as soon as you go, I'm here for that matter, well, now there's a matter, you're verified, and you're the possessor because you know where you are.
Thereby not claim.
What?
Well,
Yeah, it all starts with I.
I am here for that matter.
I am here for that matter.
I put a spell on you because you're mine.
I put a spell on you because you are mine. And now you are the mine, which is the property of the state now. Because of that one statement you make down here, that's enough to crucify your sorry ass. Maybe where you guys live, you get to live another day. But down here, no cigar.
Claiming the game, the name, that matter. Thereby not claiming the game, the name, and there's a mistake.
Now you're claiming the name by saying I am here. That's claiming the name of I am. This is very hard to see. You're making a claim of I am because you're making a claim of I am and the Father are one. So you're making out. You're making the claim, even though you're saying you're not making a claim, you're actually making a claim of you being the maker, or the I am and the Father are one.
Where's the proper notice? And I want to deal with your honor.
Now the proper notice has got to do with
Where's the base plan?
The proper notice has got to do with where and when. The proper notice is got to do with the agreement between the parties. Okay, that's to do with the proper notice. Proper notice is it all comes back to the where and when. It's the agreement. Once there's agreement, there's it's established through guilty or not guilty. Are you guilty? If you know where you are, I am here. Now they can proceed with guilty or not guilty, because you obviously know where you are. Okay, and that establishes where and when, which is a location and a date. And that location and a date, we can now proceed with commerce.
Wonderfully. And it's a fact. You don't need to put any papers on behalf of the name. It's none of your affair. The same process works with the officers. They come around with a warrant or a summons or anything like that. What makes you think there's anybody here by that name? The thing of it, right? And if you,
rather than saying what makes you think there's anyone here by that name, soon as you start talking like that down here, you open yourself up for investigation. Now, that was good back in the day, because this stuff that Batman was talking about, it was, maybe it was fine back 10, 20 years ago. But you really want to evolve from that, because that basically, these agents down here, they basically see through that big time.
claim them documents in any manner. You think there's anybody here by that name?
What makes you think there's anyone by that name? Well, now that you bring that up, they've got something to think about, that there is someone there, because what makes you think? Right, that's a question, but it's loaded with knowledge. What makes you think that there's anyone here by that name? Well, now I'm thinking that there is someone here with a name. We need to investigate further.
Right, and if you claim them documents in any manner.
Yeah, now the documents has got to do with an accord that you have with that piece of paper, the agreement with that piece of paper. So that piece of paper is what we read out before, which basically says, you have, this is your license or what you have until such and such. If you don't choose, blah, 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 your driver's license or whatever you've accumulated, if you answer to any of this, that's the paperwork. It's jurisdiction.
You claim the name, and there's a controversy. Now he's there to settle the matter, or you become surety. You're the one with the claim on the name. See?
Yeah, it's like these secured party status, all that stuff the UCC teaches, all those the bonds, everything else. You're all creating controversies.
Yeah, because you're bringing up terminology.
Your actions are creating controversies. I don't care if you come in as an agent for this, you still did this. You think you're confident to handle it, and how are you confident to handle the affairs of that name?
Well, yeah, and you're meddling on behalf of the name when you don't have the authority to. They created the name. It's just we don't realize. We go in there. They're talking to them.
See, they created the name, but why claim that you're there for it? That's a very good point. And I'm here for that matter. So they created the name on one hand, and on the other hand, you're saying I'm here. I'm here for that matter. So it's an oxymoron, or it's a contradictory. It's a bit contradictory, because on one hand they created the name, and then you're stating the name on top of that. You're using the I am as the name that you're using. That's got to be the ultimate removal of the head in this part of the world. That's all.
That piece of paper on the judge's desk. When you go in there and say, "Hey, that's mine," this piece of paper's yours. No, we got a controversy because.
Yeah, that's right.
The state says it's theirs over here. It's like Solomon.
See, the beauty of Batman is like, man, it took years to sort of figure out the missing gaps, the missing links. A lot of what he's saying, there's without Batman. I mean, look, Credence, brother, I love the guy, and this is not about pointing the finger or anything. This is about scrutinising, the marrow from the bone, and looking at it from perspective. Does it work? Why didn't it work? And we went right into with the Batman, because this was the beginning of like the new frontier in this part of the world. And we were complete write-offs and rambling lunatics. I can speak for myself. When we started this journey, it was completely, oh mate, it was like a forest fire, a bloody bull in a china shop. It was a nightmare. But without the judge correcting us, you think we would have moved anywhere in any direction away from this kind of beginning, if there's such a thing. No, we would have been probably still talking shit, about all this stuff. Other than that, where do we go? Do we stay in one place and keep churning the same thing, or go out and start living it and start listening to the masters of the universe, which I call the judges, and they're there to show you how to become whole by basically giving you the opposite perspective. And the more you start asking the questions, the more they reveal. If you've got the ears to hear and the eyes to see, there's so much that's revealed that's actually mind-blowing.
And they're King Solomon with the baby, well, we could cut it in half and each have a piece, or you're going to surrender it. The one that
there you go, King Solomon. That's a great story in the scripture.
Surrender it, got to use the baby.
And when you go in there and do that, you go in there and on the secured party, this and that, man, you just obstructed the bankruptcy.
You're meddling.
You're meddling in their administration of the emergency. They're administrating it. That's why all the courts are administrative. They're not lawful courts. They're administrating a bankruptcy proceeding.
Oh, I used to listen to Boris, not love it in a sense, but I remember the days of, Boris and Batman back in those days. And it's like, they were like the dynamic duo and everything back then. And maybe Boris disappeared at some stage, but yeah, still a lot of knowledge, lot of knowledge.
And you go in there, and people go in there and they lay down these claims and counterclaims, and now they can't do their job and sell the account because some jackass made a controversy.
Right, but Boris, in my books, they are lawful courts. It becomes a lawful court when you submit to the jurisdiction with a claim. Basic common law courts. Common law is another illusion, no different than the Constitution. It's a bunch of people with their common ideals in mind, but all it comes down to is, did you create a controversy by claiming ownership of something? There's, common law courts is just another smoke and mirrors game in my books.
Yeah,
exactly. See, the point of the matter is, when you claim a side or claim ownership of anything, then you're going to war. Why? They're going to take care of you. Just, like in Star Trek, man, all the old series. One of their prime directive was not to screw with the peaceful inhabitants of the planet. You don't mess with the inhabitants. And, you want to be a United States citizen or whatever, well, have at it. But the point of the matter is, you're laying claim to something. You're causing division. Yeah.
There you go. You're laying claim, you're causing division. Yeah? You want to cause division? Well, go make a statement. I'm here for that matter, and so forth.
Enjoy the ride.
You go in and do this in court, do you ever get taken inside the bar?
It don't matter. That's all illusions, man. That's all.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to that.
The only point they're looking for is there a controversy. Is somebody here claiming a name? Then they got something to settle.
If someone claiming the name, well, we're here. You're here because the judge doesn't talk about the name. The judge, this is where you want to focus, boys and girls, is the judge is only looking at the charges. He don't give a rat's ass about the name. There's no contradictor in relation to the name. There's no contest in relation to the name. There's only a contest between the state who's bringing the charges to you, so they can join the charges to the name.
Who's going to be left with possession?
Who's going to be left with possession is basically the bottom line, and joinder is possession. In other words, you've made the claim of possession. Now we can join that onto the name, and now I find the charges proven. And once you find the charges proven, well, now we can put a conviction on you, and basically determine how much time you do.
That's all. All the rest of it, I got this thing flagged. I did all that flag, that admiralty bullshit, the bar, and not going in the bar, and I've been through all of that. It's all smoke and mirrors. Get you off point. It's testing you. You got to remember, the government's there. They're there. They're the sons of Cain. They're there to lie to you, man. It's their job.
Yeah, that's right. They're there to lie to you. Without the lie, how would you appreciate if there was such a thing as truth? And really, what do you know of either? So you can ask them both. What do you know what a lie is? What do you know what is truth? Pontius Pilate, was it true? Pontius Pilate goes, what is truth? Yeah? Can anyone define what truth is? Good luck with that. It's the same as, can anyone define what a woman is or a man? Yeah?
They're licensed to lie to you. They want to see if you grew up yet or not.
Yeah, you grew up good. Yeah, so the license to lie. Did you grow up? That's why it's training ground. Yeah?
You can't tell the difference between a lie. Maybe you belong in jail, you know?
Yeah, there you go. What's the difference? Is it the spelling?
But who's the one making the claim? What's your name? And he says,
You know, who's the one making the claim? Or, you know, are you dealing with the one in front of you? Because if you're dealing with the one in front of you, well, you're asking, first of all, rather than for who, you're looking for what we're talking before about, who's the claimant, who's the one bringing the claim, right? That's a witch hunt, right? I'm looking for someone to blame, or do I ask the agent straight away, do I know you? And that, until you start asking these questions, you won't be able to imagine the full extent of these questions. It's quite mind blowing. Quite mind blowing.
you can call me free to go. I should have been asking, how am I liable for the name, Judge? There's a mistake here.
Yeah.
Well, how am I liable? Yeah. So that's again in court down here. That's all terminology. And did I learn all that? Yeah. So in court, once you bring up any terms, the judge is going to entertain that because he's going to now investigate further. He might adjourn it because you're in possession of basically the one thing. The courts go 150%. They go by in the beginning, if there's such a thing, was the word. But they go by this 1,000%. The word was the word with God, and the word was God. And I don't necessarily want to focus on this God or whatever, the possessor, the term. What does one know about God? But these terms, words, is it property? And that's what we're looking at.
But did you know that the boomerang proposition, it goes back on them as well?
That's why you get real good at asking questions. After you
There you go.
give the judge the evidence and nobody rebuts it, I'm here for the matter. There's a mistake. Where's the proper notice? And I want to deal with you honorably.
Well, yeah. We used that long time ago, and there's been a lot of updates since. A lot of updates since.
After that, it's kindergarten, boys and girls. You sit there and ask the judge. He's the one in charge.
That's right. It is kindergarten, boys and girls. What do you think Little Red Riding Hood is all about, boys and girls? Don't talk to strangers. Do I know you? Stay on the path. What do you mean? Stay on the path is the proposition. Stay on the proposition. Stay on the offer, right? Don't lead yourself astray. Listen to the first proposition. Every question asked. Deal with it. Have you been drinking? What do you mean by have? Where are you going? Why? Is there somewhere you need to go? Is there something I can do to help? Or do I know you? Keep it back to do I know you? Why are you here? Keep it simple. This is kindergarten stuff, boys and girls. This is not fucking, smart club.
Ask them the questions. Eventually, they're going to get you out of there. Or they're going to get somebody to talk to you. Say, hey, don't worry, we'll handle it.
That's right.
You didn't put claim on the name. They named that piece of paper. That name they created. That name is the government's responsibility.
There you go. So the program is the property of the government or the state or the system, whatever you want to call it. It's all property of the state. So if you take the programs that have been encouraged for you to take from a very young age, when you had mummy and daddy, and then you go to the institutions, the school, and then you grow up, and then you start living from those programs, and then you maybe misbehave with those programs. Now the state can take those programs away from you, and you become like a grumpy little shit of a kid in the lockups because you think you've been unfairly treated and you've got rights. Yeah, you think you got rights. Don't you love that?
in their eyes. That's their assumption. When you claim that name, you just created a controversy.
Hang on a minute. What's this assumption?
In their eyes. That's their assumption.
Hang
when
on.
you claim that name, you created, that name is the government's responsibility in their eyes. That
Well, it's without the government, if there was such a thing, how would they be able to sort the wheat from the chaff? And the chaff is the ones that are the claimants. Yeah. So that's why these agent questionnaires are so important to record, to transcript, to listen to.
their assumption. When you claim that name, you just create.
You know, is there an assumption when you verify it?
Hey, Judge, who do you want me to be? Huh?
Who do you want me to be? Fuck, mate. Anyway, you know, maybe that worked, some time ago. But right now, see, the beauty of the system is, imagine we're all like pawns on a chess game, and the system actually learns from the pawns that are on the game of chess. So it becomes updated. What actually happens down here, whenever there's updates, you don't see coppers anywhere. They go away, they study this stuff that we're doing, and they come out with updates. And believe me, they actually get so highly trained, it's astounding, absolutely mind blowing, the updates that taken place down in this part of the world. It's quite, it's very impressive, very, very impressive. And
well, hey, brother.
Yeah.
If there's so many updates on the side of you guys and then the side of the cops and then back to you and then back to them, it would seem as though there would be some point where it would almost be leveled out completely to neutral. There's no more updates to go, it would seem.
Well, what actually happens, how I see it, it becomes easier, and it's like a muscle that you use and becomes easier, and there's a lot less. You would call anxiety or stress. There's a lot less of that. So even if you do come across them, it's for a very short period, maybe 3 minutes. Big deal. Is that too much for you? You're unable to handle a couple of questions and then they go away. What are we made out of? Are we just, like what's we just don't want any interaction from these so-called agents. I actually think, I think it's, I think without them, I'd be very, I don't know, Jeepers creepers. I see it's, I don't know how to put it. I don't know. Yeah, why the aversion? Why the resistance to the agents? I kind of, if they're so keen to speak to an individual, why wouldn't you be as keen to question them?
Well, it seems as though they're trying to drum up some business, and some people just might be scared of business.
Well, why give them the drumbeat?
Hey, I'm with you, brother.
So, and then they move on. And
just looking for help.
They just, they start off with help, yeah. Is there anything you can do? Anything for help? First, do I know you? That's a very, very powerful question. Because do I know you establishes agreement. How is there an agreement without, without the help? Without the, when you're going, do I know you? There's no indication of any agreement. It's perfect. It's actually made in bloody heaven if there was such a thing.
Such a beautiful, innocent way.
Yeah.
To show that
you're not going in combat. You're not going into. It's the lowest common denominator. And look, don't forget, boys and girls. We went all from the days of the Batman right through. I'm just using this shit. When Batman was always talking about, oh, you're just using it. And that was great. We went into court, and it's nothing to do with Batman. It's just, when we went to court, the judge just corrected it. He said, the judge asked, do you believe you used the name? And I go, yeah. And the judge goes, cool, I'll take that. And gets the hammer and goes, kapow, down, and goes, right. you're in possession. Simple. You know, are we going to learn from the judges, or you know what's strange? I think what someone said recently that that you can become a judge out of a Wheaties breakfast cereal biscuit breakfast thing. I mean, I don't know about that, but down here, and the judges certainly see light years in front of whatever comes out of one's mouth. They're right onto it. Anyway, what else do you want to talk about?
Brother, that was all I had to bring to the table. But I will say, I agree. There's no competition or critiquing necessarily of those bat clips. I brought them because I've heard you say that y'all use the bat method in court, and around Australia for years. So that's why I thought it was so beautiful. So I could to hear those updates of what does make sense, what needs to be cut away, so on and so forth. That's why I would love to hear one of y'all's court transcripts where y'all used it correctly and were able to use those.
We'll just go through those calls. We're just pretty much showing you in a nutshell when you're asking, I'm here for that matter. Yeah, you just want to steer clear of that type of talk.
Right.
All right. That's
like another answer, right?
Yeah, that's an answer. Once you go into answering, it's so easy to fall into it. That's why it's easy for the mining to extract the sap from that pie hole so easily, because if you're not doing the renewing of the mind constantly, it's very easy to make a statement and next thing you know you're in jurisdiction straight away. So
full agreement here, brother. Last time I spent a couple of days in jail, I was doing the best I could to ask those questions and stay on point, but obviously there needed to be a little bit more renewing of the mind, because after a couple hours, I believe I did fall into making statements, showing knowledge instead of staying on point. So I do believe what you're saying is super true for me. Unless one is renewing constantly, and there is a degree of renewing, but obviously, one was falling short.
Yeah, and don't forget, this is all about. We need, like, it's using one another and the examples, like without the Batman, and a lot of the head fucks with the Batman, because a lot of things just did not make sense or did not add up, and it's not nothing to do with him. It's not about him. It's about what we had to go through to find out. Oh, what were the other dots that we couldn't connect along the way? And now the dots have been connected, and we're going, oh, the picture is just so clean and clear. It's not ambiguous. It's spot on. It's basically it's clear as mustard. Once you're taken possession, it's like, how do you unpeel? How do you put the peel back on an onion once you've taken the peel off? Has anyone put the peel back on?
It's like we're pulling the thread from the jumper one end,
and
the judge is the other end, knitting it back together.
Yeah, actually, that's a good analogy. So on one hand, what we're doing is you're pulling the string from a jumper, and then the judge is trying to knit back the jumper by trying to it's like do a song and a dance to try and distract you from anything, to being on point and to being focused on what everything's about, and it just shows how easy it is to come unstuck when it comes to knowledge.
Right, brother. Right.
So just bear in mind that this, the updates are happening, every moment. Like every call, you want to listen to the terminology and the I statements and so forth. Like that last guy talking, I think he had about 600 I statements in the first 6 minutes.
That's right.
And if you can hear those I statements, you just need to ask yourself, yeah, he was a great success, fantastic. Is that what you want to follow? Go follow man. That's fine. Follow man, right? You might get a better result. Fantastic, if that's what you're looking for. See you later. Yeah. For the purpose of this so-called call, it's to what is agreement? What is possession? What is the word? Whose property is it? How do I deal with the unknown factors, the anomaly, the anonymous claims? All right, claiming I'm in possession. How do I deal with those things? How do I find a way to how can I put it? Navigate the seas of commerce without going into contradiction, without going into a contest, without going into a dual fight. How do I do that? That's what I'm interested in. That's what I want to find out. Is do I go into combat? Well, I know how to do that. We've been taught the art of warfare. The system shows you how to become a warlord by using technology, and that's not yours. And then you start talking about things. If you speak a language, that's technology. That's a technology that you're using that was offered to you, encouraged for you to take, and now you're all big grown-ups, you're big children, think you know shit. Well, nothing's really changed, other than you believing the shit you do. So these are things you wanna put on the table every night and meditate. And that's why there's some great videos, like the Inglorious Bastards, straight away, walking on the fields, are you such and such? That's the name, right? Which is the property of the possessor. Now, we can do business. Now, I'd like to come into your house and talk to you. Oh boy. You got some nice milk and honey? I like a bit of milk and honey. Let's sit down before I murder you all and slaughter you all because you've given me jurisdiction to blow your brains out. I mean, it's made in heaven, right? What God would do this, yeah? Well, think about, rather than what kind of man have we become?
What's the question to ask?
What
property of blah blah?
What's the property? First of all, when someone asks that question, do I know you? Someone comes to you, do I know you? How may I help? Why are you here? Yeah, too simple. The brain's just going to boggle. Why would you ask these questions? Yeah. What's going on there, Mr. Pete, 88 Keys, and Mike Ray, you there?
I think sometimes Pete listens while he's doing projects. I'm unsure if he's actively able to speak.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of the brothers listen while they're working and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So there are other transcripts, but the transcripts are also it's from the different court cases. I've been through a couple with myself and that, so I mean, we can go through a bit more of those, next time. If you want to talk, if there's some other people who have got some notices and stuff, which I have gone through a notice today. See the amount of parties that are on one document, the relevant you know, the parties that are actually present, I mean, that are actually on this document, it's astounding. The amount of parties that you're dealing with. Are the parties present to consent to the signing of this document? You know, are the parties present to consent with, you know, the the notice? So many ways of considering these things, but there may be just more than you who thinks they know who you're dealing with, and you don't know who you're dealing with, and that's the anomaly, the unknown factor. So do consider the unknown forces, boys and girls. It's a huge thing, huge thing. If we don't consider the unknown force, we only think that we know stuff, but we can't prove anything that you think you know. But yet it's proven in court with a consequence, with a bill, you know, with a liability, a burden that you've got to carry now, all because you took something that don't belong to you. All right, boys and girls, anything else?
Hey, it's Pete. I was listening throughout the whole time. Good to hear from you guys. Hey, Boone. Hey. Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, man. Good to hear from you.
Hey, just want to ask a couple questions here, or actually, just not questions, but just a recap. Everything that comes out of one's mouth, basically,
yeah,
is subject to interpretation.
Hang on. Slow down.
The word is any word, any utterance, even like you know,
yeah,
you've gone through.
It's funny you say that, because I went to Copper, and the Copper goes, "Oh, what do you mean by that?" And he goes, "I'll tell you if you tell me what that means." And it was done and dusted. So anything you say or do can and will be used against you, even or whatever. But you can still go or whatever you want to a Copper. Down here, they're right on point. Maybe where you guys live, they're a bit sleepy and they just let people go which way. I don't know how it works there. But down here, they'll put you through. They'll put you through the mill, absolutely. So they'll question every utterance that comes out of that mouth. Go on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got bumped off there, so I didn't hear what you said. I missed it.
All right. So I'm not sure what I said now. So in other words, it still comes back to anything you say can and will be used against you. What was your question that you asked again? Can you clarify?
Okay, the point I was trying to get, I guess, is any utterance, doesn't matter what it sounds like, because it's going from you know, some vibration, some frequency, it's going through the air and it's going into someone's ear, right? So as it goes into someone's ear, and it gets processed in the brain, then it gets interpreted. Those words, utterances, sounds, whatever it is, there's an interpretation process in every sound, word, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And now, so these utterances, words, whatever, sounds are subject to interpretation, and then belief, because I believe you said this, or I believe this. So as soon as you open your mouth, you're creating controversy.
That's right.
And controversy only leads to more controversy because it's subject to interpretation.
But just hold on a moment. We go into interpretation, right, with an agent. You don't even know them. Who are you to interpret someone you don't know? It's the biggest assumption and the biggest fuck up that you can ever imagine. Once you start talking,
I agree.
You go into talk instead of question mode, and big problem.
Yeah, that exactly, and that's the point I'm trying to get at. Is that you're dealing with someone you never met before. You know nothing about them, presumably. They know nothing about you. but you basically, you're kind of trying to help yourself get out of a jam, but you don't know who you're dealing with, first of all. So the point is it will be used against you. It can be used against you, but it's going to be interpreted by someone you've never met before. And even if you know someone, so you've been living, let's say if you've been living together with someone, a mate or whatever, or you've known someone for 20 years, there's still issues about interpretation. There's still, you never have a real total meeting of the minds with anyone. But let's say, and that's with someone you know. So if you're going to meet someone off the street or an agent, whoever it is, now at this point, now everything you say, any utterance, any sound is going to be subject to interpretation at that point. And that's the point, right? And you don't know which way, which direction.
The interpretation, I guess what I'm trying, it's not so much the agent is just listening to the terms that come out of that mouth that you've been known to use. And that's where you become subject to the laws of the land, because you're bringing up terminology. Now the law applies. Okay? So interpretation is when you listen to someone, you're answering. So interpretation is another word for you're answering, because it's like in Job, there's a scripture there where it's a knee jerk, where you answer from the knee, you just go bang, and you answer straight away. So that's the answering is another word for the interpretation of something you believe you heard, someone speak or anything like that. So instead of interpreting or answering, you go into as king mode, asking.
Because there's a presumption that when we've been programmed, and there's a presumption that we all are like, there's a certain understanding of certain terms and words. So, and that's the problem. Presuming that.
Now, can you repeat that again, please, brother, if you don't mind?
In life, in general practice, right? And when you're dealing with, let's say if you go to the grocery store, there's a presumption between people or an understanding, because of the programming, that we're all dealing with the same understanding of certain words.
Mm-hmm.
We've been trained to believe that we have a common understanding or common ground on certain words. So when a guy says coffee, what do you think of?
Okay, can I pause you there for a moment? So that may be the case, and if you're just going about your daily business, asking for a coffee,
No, wait. This is my point. When someone says coffee, right? Now that could be interpreted so many different ways. Is it ground coffee? Is it bean coffee? Is it actual drinkable coffee?
Yeah. Hey, whoa.
Coffee?
Yeah. We go off a bit of a path here, unfortunately, sometimes. But look, keeping it simple. It's kind of like this. You're going out shopping, and we all speak in the same language. Who gives a shit? Yeah, are we in China, or we're in bloody Africa? What are we speaking? If we're living in wherever you're living, and people speak the same kind of language, great. Talk. You need things. You go out, you buy a coffee. Who gives a shit? I like it grounded. I like a cappuccino. Good. You know what that means? Great. Yeah, I don't have to argue with you. Oh, what do you mean by that? And ask questions to every dickhead every time. No, it doesn't work that way. That's why I stick to one thing. There's only one thing that's relevant in all this. What's that? Well, let's deal with the agent's questionnaire, and that's it. End of story. You don't have to, quarrel with, is that a sign or is that not a sign? It's regardless. It's when you're dealing with. That's the only thing we're looking at is when you're dealing with an agent, and that's it. There's no, you're not going to have an argument with a Brewster, a coffee Brewster, or a shopkeeper, or who believes they own their shop, and oh, you think this is an orange or a banana? Who gives a fuck for that? Give me a fucking banana. I'm hungry.
Yeah. I meant it in
go,
relation.
go about
with
life. Say again.
No, I meant this when I'm speaking about this area, it's in relation to agents, not just anybody. When you're dealing with an agent or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
and I'm just yeah. So when I'm speaking right now, it's in regards to the interaction with an agent. So. And so what I'm trying to say is, someone says coffee, even that word coffee with an agent could be subject to interpretation. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Coffee. Okay, let's just no. You call it's subject to jurisdiction. It's possession. Okay, because coffee, talking to an agent now, is he's bringing up coffee to you, and now you're speaking it out of your mouth, so it's contagious. And now you're speaking the terminology. So now we can interface with commerce. Okay, instead of saying, agent, what do you mean? Or do I know you? Right? Because you don't have an issue with day-to-day people here, there, and everywhere. It's the issue is yourself. When they come across an agent who's asking you the questions, are you drinking coffee? Why are you drinking coffee here? Or something like that. Is this your coffee? What do you mean by your? It's you want to be careful using certain terminology and listening very carefully to the agent's questionnaire, and that is the only relevant purpose of these so-called calls.
Yeah, but okay, hang on. Okay, I appreciate your clarity or feedback. All I'm saying is every word, even the word coffee. It's subject to interpretation. What do you mean by coffee? Is this your coffee, right? So is it a coffee? Like, why even go there, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking about dealing with possessions, but the word coffee, like, what is it? Your coffee? What is coffee?
I don't even bother going into coffee or the terminology of coffee. I just go into, what do you mean by your? End of story.
Well, and that's the reason why I totally follow what you're saying and agree with that. Deal with the possession part without going into the terms, because the terms cause the controversy. Because they're
okay. Keeping it simple. Let's just keep this very simple. When you're a child, right, you go to school and the teacher has to sound out the word 100 times, cat or fucking table or whatever. Cat, at, to, and after a while you start sounding it out, and then you identify, then you associate the word or the term with an object, an idol. So you become idol worshipping. This is the beginning of identification. So once you start to identify with the meaning of a word, that's interpretation. The interpretation is the agreement that you've got with yourself, the accord with yourself. So there's a meeting of the minds with yourself, which is a monologue, and it's like being delusional. You need a psych evaluation. Okay, so there's an agreement between you and another thing. So if you're just going, okay, for the sake of purposes, you sound out a word, or you sound out a car, or whatever it is, you're driving, or whatever terminology, it's not thinking too much about it. Okay, use terms, words, all fine. It's all fine, but how do you put them into question? And that's why I deal with possession, which goes before the terminology. I don't even talk about terms or words or anything like that. I'm only going, is that what you mean?
Okay. So now if someone says, we received information that you have been appearing at the court seeking permission to speak as a next friend on behalf of a party.
What do you
We
mean by
received-
received?
We
I just
received
say-
information.
I've only listened to the first proposition, and I'll go, what do you mean by we? I don't even, the brain's too retarded to listen for anything else. It just goes
Well-
straight to we. Let's talk next time, brothers, if we're around. Yeah, put it through and we'll discuss this more maybe next week or the week after. Okay?
Sounds
Okay,
good, brother.
All right, lots of love, boys.